Not many investigators can say that they worked a serial homicide.
Never dreamed of what I was going to see when I walked into the residence.
It was just a violent death.
Who could have wanted my mother dead? My mother had the biggest heart of gold.
Everybody's watching this. Everybody's concerned. There was a lot of fear.
This person is still out there. This person could still commit more murders.
It was clear that we had a multi-parish serial killer.
We immediately began making plans to go to Texas to conduct the interview. This was either going to result in a confession or a dead end.
Well, this part of Louisiana, the Mississippi River, divides several parishes, and they classify the river parishes as pretty much anything from Ascension Parish on down to St. John, St. Charles area as you work down your way towards New Orleans. You have a lot of large families that live here and been living here a very, very long time, and it was just a safe feeling community up until a certain point.
In the Victor Rossi case, his daughter tragically found him, discovered him in his home.
When the investigators arrived at Victor's residence, Victor was found laying on his couch. It appeared that he had been sleeping, and he was brutally beaten to death. And as they processed the residence, they found the murder weapon. It was a baseball bat. Victor Rossi was a small business owner. He owned a mechanic shop. He wasn't a wealthy man, but he lived a good life.
We had a minimal suspects, or even a list of suspects, given the fact that he was a very well-liked guy, had a normal lifestyle. It was a whodunit. It evolved into connecting to something far bigger and far worse.
March 19th, 1997, I received a phone call about 7:45 a.m. from Sheriff Martin, who was asking me to meet him at the residence of Miss Barbara Bourgeois. And he wanted me to meet him there because he had a concerned relative who had not seen her yet that morning.
We went around the house knocking on the windows, trying to peep in the windows, and the doors were all locked. Sid and I both, we forced the storm door open.
Never dreamed of what I was going to see when I walked into the residence. It was kind of hard to see at first, and the sheriff turned on a light in the kitchen, and the light from the kitchen kind of illuminated a little bit into the living room, and I could see the bottom half of Miss Barbara Bourgeois lying on the floor.
We saw the knife immediately.
There's gonna be blood right here.
There was a vacuum cleaner right next to her body also that was covered with blood. Obviously was used as a weapon, and you can see just from the extent of her injuries that she probably took a severe beating with that vacuum cleaner and then was stabbed multiple times. It was just a violent death.
My mother was one of these people that she was always so willing to give. She gave so much to her family, her husband, and to her children, of course. The love. There's no greater love than a mother. My mother was a special education teacher. She worked with the needy children. She didn't want anybody to be without. Who could have wanted my mother dead? My mother had the biggest heart of gold.
I knew Miss Barbara, and I knew her husband, and I knew the family, and I knew that we had quite quite a task on our hand. We had a horrible crime scene, and it was apparent to us she fought for her life. It was an awful sight. We knew we had a terrible crime. I'm sorry.
April 10th of 1997, Miss Lillian Philippi was found in her home, bludgeoned, dead, an elderly lady.
The phone wires were cut. Again, the weapons was a weapon of opportunity. There were weapons used on her was a trophy that was taken from one of the bedrooms, and it was used to beat her to death. Someone went in there, attacked Miss Philippi in her bedroom, went through her safe, went through her purse, and then left.
Some of us started saying, you know what? You know, this is not something that happens on a regular basis in this parish. We started seeing then and started exploring the possibility informally that maybe we've got something going on in a multi-jurisdictional way.
There was a lot of pressure, not just on the Gonzales Police Department, but in this River Parish region.
When word gets out we got another murder, I mean, people just, they're in fear now. They don't even want to be out during the daytime.
On May 9th, 1997, I was at the Detective Bureau, and a call came out for assistance at the Akuri house. And upon officers' arrival, they discovered a pretty gruesome scene.
This is a murder weapon.
We believe the weapon that was used was called a switchblade or K-knife. Blood everywhere. It was probably one of the worst scenes that I had been on in my career.
We spent probably 3 days just on the crime scene. We were constantly fingerprinting anything in the house. We were under a tremendous amount of pressure to try to solve it. About 5 days after the Akuri murders occurred, one of the detectives came in and said, "You're not gonna believe this. They're calling for a detective on Somerset, Miss Brock. She had been drug out the house and that her head was practically decapitated on her body."
When we got to the scene of the Brock case, phone lines were cut, which was similar to the Akuris. It appeared a sharp instrument, knife, weapon was used in the case, which was similar to the Akuris. A safe and her car were missing.
Then it got down to, okay, we gotta find somebody. We got a bad guy around here.
Criminals have no jurisdictions. They cross parish lines, county lines. So we called Ascension Parish. They also had an unsolved murder. 2, actually. Victor Rossi and Miss Philippi. The focus appeared to be burglary. Victims were brutally attacked. When we called St. James Parish to see if they had any unsolved homicides, they did have one, Miss Barbara Bourgeois. It was burglary. Entry was made through a window. She was brutally attacked. She was elderly. But when you reach out to a counterpart and say, hey, you have anything going on? You have any unsolved homicides? And when they say yeah, it makes you stop and realize that you have something bigger on your hands than what you thought you had. We suspect that they're related. There's similarities. When's he gonna strike again? If we don't act fast enough, will somebody else die?
We had so many cases, and we had 2 in St. John, 1 in St. James, 3 in Ascension Parish.
Because we have all the similarities in all the other crimes that are coming together, that it looks like it's going to be some type of serial event. Where you had someone preying on elderly people, you had the same type of MO, weapons of opportunity, you had phone wires cut. There are people that shouldn't have to worry about going to sleep at nighttime and never waking up because someone brutally attacked and murdered them while they were sleeping in their beds.
You don't know when the next person's going to be attacked, killed. Road officers are talking to their informants. Detectives are talking to their sources, running down leads, trying to find anybody they can, trying to find any evidence they can. It's a tremendous amount of stress.
On July 7th, 1997, I was called to investigate a crime that occurred at the Miette residence. I responded to the residence and learned that the Miettes were attacked while they were sleeping in the residence. The perpetrator forced them to open up a safe. A large amount of cash was taken. The perpetrator then shot Mr. Miette in the face. And then at that point in time, the perpetrator goes through the dining room area and shoots Miss Miette. What he didn't know is both victims were still alive.
And now we have two witnesses who can describe their attempted murderer.
So once their conditions were stable, I went to the hospital where they were at, and I brought a sketch artist there as well, and we were able to put together a composite. We released that composite sketch out to the media. We started generating phone tips from the community, and nothing led us to anybody that committed this crime.
We had no DNA. We had no fingerprints. We had no physical evidence.
When we started hitting roadblocks and walls, frankly, we brought in the FBI.
Ascension Detective Lieutenant Benny DeLone and his partner are bringing their attempted murder investigation all the way to Quantico, Virginia, and FBI headquarters. They'll bring every piece of evidence gathered in the investigations, and hopefully they'll come home with a better understanding of who committed these crimes, enough so they can make an arrest.
The Behavioral Analysis Unit is a specialized unit within the FBI of highly trained people that study psychology and then will provide what they believe is the best description of the subject based on the information provided. The profile hit on a number of points, including that he would have all of a sudden money that he didn't have before and that he just couldn't explain. He was most likely from or very familiar with the areas of each crime scene, and that after the victim survived, that he would have left town with some plausible reason. I think everybody really truly believed, even though it was suspected before, that these cases were related and that you had a serial killer on your hands.
You're responsible for bringing a sense of security and comfort to the community, letting them know that they're safe. And it's hard to do when you have elderly people that have been brutally attacked and murdered. Everybody is scared. Alarm sales are going through the roof.
So now that you know that you've got a serial killer on your hand, then you got to be thinking of when he's going to do this again.
And so at that point, we called a press conference. And we released the information from the FBI profile. Well, we decided to take the several 100,000 people in the river parishes and make them investigators as well. And we got an overwhelming response from the public. I think it's him. He looks like so-and-so. He looks like so. So we're chasing all of those down.
One of these tips was from an individual who worked at a casino within our jurisdiction, who he thought of an individual who frequented this casino where he worked at, who used to go to the casino and spend very little bit of money.
And then all of a sudden, he began coming and he was spending large amounts of money. He started wearing jewelry, and he had recently rode up on a new motorcycle. During his description, he said he used to drive up in a pickup truck with some type of boom in the rear of the bed to lift motors and such as that. And at that point, I knew the truck, or a truck that fit that description, that belonged to Daniel Blank. As he was a mechanic, and He used to work for a friend of mine, Victor Rossi.
So we started doing a financial background check on him as well, and learning that his source of income is far, far less than what he was actually spending at these casinos. Once we developed Daniel Blank as a suspect, we went to his last known address. And when we went to that address, he moved. And we learned from a family member of his that he had just moved. And he had just moved right after the Miette case. When we left that residence, we went back to my office. And no sooner than walk into my office, I'm receiving a phone call from Daniel Blank asking why are we needing to talk to him.
Hello? This is Daniel Blank call. Yes. Somebody just told me that the detectives were looking for me. Yeah, that's me. I'm Sergeant Tony with the Sheriff's Office. We work in cases over here, and your name came up in it. Okay. There's some elderly people that's been murdered, and one of these people you used to work for, Mr. Brock. I worked for him many years ago. Well, his wife was murdered, and she's one of these elderly people, too. Yeah. Wait, you living in, on Alaska now? I live in Texas, yeah. What kind of work you doing now, Daniel? Mechanic work. Oh, mechanic work? Yeah. You come into any money lately? Yeah, I want some money at the casino. How much money you want? It's close to $50,000, I guess. $50,000? You gonna be back in Louisiana anytime soon? Well, I was supposed to try to go down there this weekend. This weekend? Let me give you my name, and when you get in town, I'll give you my page number and you call me. All right, then.
He made arrangements to meet with us, and that date came and went.
And he didn't show. The investigation now goes to another level.
We started doing a background check on him.
We were able to connect him to every individual, every homicide that had occurred. He had worked for 2 victims. He had worked for Victor Rossi. He had worked for Mrs. Brock's husband. He lived near Miss Bourgeois. He used to buy auto parts for Miss Phillippe's husband.
Daniel had a girlfriend at the time who worked at a local restaurant, which was directly across the street from the Acuri residence. Money is really the motive to these murders. And once we connected all the dots, and that all the dots were linking up to Daniel Blank, this could be our guy. We formulated a plan, and we went to him in Texas, where he was living at. With the help of the Texas authorities, we secured part of the Onalaska courthouse, and we used that for interview rooms.
You doing, Daniel? All right. Want to see right here for us? Right here, Daniel.
I didn't know Mike before this investigation. He didn't know my abilities. I didn't know his abilities. And you're placing your trust in each other's hands.
Todd, email. How you doing? Nice to meet you. And I spoke to you a couple times on the phone. My name's Mike Tony, the Sheriff's Office in Ascension. He's with St. John Sheriff's Office.
We needed to be prepared. We had nothing. And lack of physical evidence. Sometimes interview or interrogation is the only evidence that you'll get.
I want to talk to you, Daniel, concerning some stuff.
This was either going to result in a confession or a dead end.
We got elderly people, we got business people, we got weapons of opportunity, we got phone wires being cut. Money is really the motive to these murders. And once we connected all the dots, and that all the dots were linking up to Daniel Blank, this could be our guy. We formulated a plan, and we went to him in Texas, where he was living at.
We wanted to cover as many homicides as possible. I was involved in the Acuri and the Brock case. Mike was involved in Victor Rossi and Miss Phillippe. And St. James Parish wasn't able to go. I knew some about their case. I talked to their investigator. So we felt it was important to have 2 investigators in the room that would know details of all the cases.
You doing, Daniel? All right. Want to see right here for us? Right here, Daniel.
We had him sit at the end of the table. Mike and I each sat on opposite sides, facing him. You don't want a barrier between the suspect and the interviewer. You want to have that open environment. It allows you to move in, get intimate.
Are you willing to answer questions?
Yeah, I'll answer anything you want me to answer. I ain't got nothing to hide.
At any given point in time, he can say, no, I don't want to continue anymore. He can ask for his lawyer, or he can just get up and walk out.
Let's just start with some background information.
When we were coming up with a strategy to approach the interview, I felt that I wanted to take the lead. We wanted to start to build rapport. We talked about how he grew up, where he grew up, his family.
My mom passed away.
What's her name?
Alice.
When did she die?
It's a little over 3 years ago, I believe it was, somewhere around there.
He appeared to be a blue-collar guy. You know, he was a mechanic. He's been a mechanic most of his life. Didn't appear nervous.
This is my first time meeting you. That's why I'm asking a lot of questions, just to get to know you. Tell me about your past employers. Where you used to work at, what kind of places. Was it always in the mechanic field? Was it other places that you worked at?
My first job in a shop was for Ralph Sampierre. Then I went and worked for Doug's Auto Repair. And that's when I went and worked for Robert DeBlessings. I worked for Robert full-time, and then I worked with Victor Rossi part-time.
In asking a suspect questions, you want to know the answers to those questions before you ask them.
So we knew that he actually worked for several of our victims. He worked for Victor Rossi. He worked for Joan Brock's husband.
Knowing what he makes approximately a year, what he was buying would give us an indication of how much money he had available.
You got a pretty good deal where you live at now? That's Yukon Cove area?
Yeah.
That's a nice neighborhood?
Yeah, I got that for $20,000.
You got it financed through a bank locally?
No, I bought it.
You bought it?
I bought it.
You paid cash for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you make any other purchases while you were down here? Any other things that you bought while you're in the Alaska area?
He spent $20,000 on his home. He bought a pool for $4,000, dining room set for $900, a Ford Escort for I think $7,000, $9,000, something like that. Maybe he had $1,000 in his checking account. This is someone who's a blue-collar mechanic making $35,000, $40,000 a year.
Where is he getting this cash?
Well, first off, I started off playing the poker machines. It went from $2,000 to $3,000 a week on poker machine.
You mean you were spending $2,000 to $3,000?
No, I was winning.
You were winning $2,000 to
$3,000 a week.
Okay.
Just on the poker.
He insisted that every time he went to the casino, he won. And we knew that wasn't the case. He was lying. Looking at the transactions from the casino, he was about $50,000 in the hole. He put in about $250,000. He got back around $200,000.
I think you're aware, or you should be aware, of why Mike and I are here today. Is that not correct?
No.
Our victims were not just victims of a murder, but they were also victims of a robbery because large amounts of money that was taken from their residence. So it made him even a stronger suspect.
Do you have an idea why we're here? Do you think we traveled this distance to speak to you about casino winnings? Do you think legitimately that's why we're here?
Well, basically, you want to know where I got all my money from.
In moving from an interview to an interrogation, you need to be calculated. You're asking pointed questions. You need to be prepared.
And some people were hurt and some people were killed. Okay? We want to talk to you about those incidents.
I heard Doug's wife got killed.
Miss Joni, you knew Miss Joni, been to the house before. What type of relationship did y'all have?
Oh, she was a real sweet woman. I really don't know what to say about you know, what's going on or what happened or what the deal is.
Do you know there's more than one person or two people that was murdered besides Joan and Rossi?
Hold up, yeah. You don't think I got any damn thing to do with all this bullshit y'all talking about?
Do you?
No, I don't.
We got him just to that point where he began to offer some resistance. You can't push him too much, you know? He started backing off and getting defensive.
You just said you didn't do it?
No, I didn't.
You have no
I have no idea what happened, what's going on.
We knew that we could offer a polygraph, and we had contacted polygraphists with the FBI in Texas, had him and his equipment in the next room.
And the only way for me to really realize or understand that you're telling me the truth, would you take a polygraph test today?
Yeah.
You have no problem with that?
No problem.
Would you pass?
Oh, well, I ain't got nothing to hide. Suppose I'm telling the truth in the polygraph test. Shows I'm lying.
It won't happen. Look at me. Did you kill any of these people?
No.
All right. Do you have anything to hide?
No.
Okay. Then you don't have to worry about it. Don't have anything to worry about then. Okay. Anytime, we'll take a leave. All right.
We wanted to make sure, because he's saying, hey, I didn't do these. Was he being truthful about it? And he consented to it, so we use that tool as to see if he was being truthful. Just because you have a good suspect, that don't always mean that this suspect is going to be the person that's committing these crimes.
How you doing?
If we didn't have the polygraphist in the next room, we would have been at a dead end. There's nothing more we could have done.
Test is about to begin.
Once Daniel began offering some resistance, saying, whoa, 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 I don't have anything to do with this, we offered him a polygraph.
Would you take a polygraph test today?
Yeah.
You have no problem with that?
No problem.
Once Daniel agreed to take a polygraph, we're 5-6 hours into this.
How you doing?
There's certain physiological responses that occur when someone lies. Your heart rate will increase, your breathing patterns are going to change, perspiration. These are signs that will show up on a polygraph.
Test is about to begin.
The polygraph is conducted 3 times. He failed every one.
A polygraph is a tool that you can use. Is it admissible in court? No. No, my gut feeling is saying this is our guy because of the similarities in the crimes, his association with the victims, and then learning his spending habits, and then learning that he moved right after the Miette case.
Well, a person like yourself would get involved in something like this, but you have, okay? There's no 2 ifs, ands, buts, chances, or whatever about it, okay? Now is the time for you to decide where you're going to go with this.
The stakes are high. We had no DNA, we had no fingerprints, we had no physical evidence linking him to the crimes. We knew we needed a confession.
So we went in there to confront him and to obtain a confession because he's our prime suspect.
When we walked in the room after David was finished, we knew this was it. That it was now or never. You're standing in front of a person that you are fairly confident is responsible, but you know you need to be friends with him to garner his cooperation and hopefully get a confession.
I know your mother died Christmas time. That was about 2 years ago.
I began talking to Daniel about his mom.
I don't know how I would react if my mama died. You know, I know she don't talk. Daniel, listen to me. Okay, listen to me. It's all right. I know she was close to you. Okay. Still, I know she was close to you. I know it hurt.
Daniel responded to being talked to in a certain way, And that's all Todd did. He played off on what Daniel was giving back. And when he seen that his emotions changed when he brought up his mother, we played off of that.
I want you to close your eyes for me. Close your eyes for me. Keep them closed. Your mama was a big part of your life before she died. Am I not correct? You were very close to her. She meant a lot to you. She took care of you and your brothers and sisters. You know, a mother loves her son no matter what. You know that. But if you're responsible, no, we know you're responsible. She raised you better. She raised you to take responsibility for your actions.
Everybody loves their mom. You always want to do the right thing by your mom. And I use that to the advantage of the investigation.
She raised you to do the right thing. She raised all your brothers and sisters that way. She instilled that in each one of her children.
You show them that they're only human, that people have a right to mess up. If you find out their weakness and you break it on them, they're going to break down to you.
You're trying to provide for your family. You're trying to get your kids better clothes, more clothes than what you had. You're trying to get them those things that you didn't have growing up because you had so many brothers and sisters, and you can only stretch a dollar so far. Did you mean for it to happen? No, you didn't. Am I correct? Yes, I'm correct.
He, of course, became emotional. Seeing his head lower, seeing him shed tears.
And I'll tell you exactly what you're thinking at this point. You feel at this point you've been in denial since you walked into the room. And you don't know how to begin talking to us. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to say it. But you want to, because that cancer is eating you up. You can't breathe at night. You can't breathe like you're supposed to because that weight is on your chest.
We have a suspect. We have a very good suspect. This could be it. It could put closure to some of these families if this person did commit these crimes.
Talk to me. Tell me what happened. It's all right. It's all right. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
During the time that Daniel was being interviewed, Daniel remained calm the whole time. Only one time that he got emotional was when some information about his mother's passing came up.
It's all right. It's all right.
When people hold something in, when they suppress feelings or have guilt, they're going to experience some type of physiological change in their body.
We need to let people know that your mama died. Your head was messed up since that point, and you're trying to provide for your kids better than what your mom provided for you, because you want to live it better for them.
As Todd leans over and puts his arm around him and tell him that, hey, do the right thing here, Daniel responded to that.
You've been saying you have chest pains. That means something's wrong. Something's wrong within your body.
I want to give the suspect an out. I want to give him justification, if you will, for his actions.
You know what it is a cry for help. You can't talk to your mama no more, you can't see her anymore, and it fucking kills you, it tears you up, and I know that.
If he could justify in his mind that all he needed to do was ask for forgiveness, whether it be from God, his mom, or anybody else, we'd be that much closer to obtaining a confession.
Man, you need to get this off your chest. You need to, it's gonna kill you. Yeah.
Danny had a tremendous amount of pressure on his body. He knew eventually he was going to get caught. He just didn't know when and where. He didn't realize that it was going to be this particular day we were there, that his whole life was flashing in front of him.
The power of physical touch, showing empathy. There's something that happens when you comfort someone and offer that pat on the shoulder.
You need to think bad thoughts about you. That's not why we're here. You need our help.
They may repulse you, may make you ill, but you have to put those feelings aside and remember why you're there and continue to do what you're doing to obtain that confession.
That like this, so it's gonna pop stuff. I know, man. I'm not supposed to be hearing you out.
Now you got to remember now, at any time, this guy can invoke his fifth and not want to say anymore. At any time, he can shut down and the game's over. We know this.
I offered him the opportunity to say whether or not he intended to kill Miss Joan Brock. We thought that would be the best case to use based on his relationship with the Brocks. He had been invited into their home. We felt that there was a psychological advantage to use that case.
You didn't even kill Miss Brock, ever? That's all right, man. That's all right. Let it out. Let it out.
Once he said no, he just admitted to killing Miss Joan.
Then I'm not going to go halfway with you. We need to go all the way, okay? Because we need to get everything off your chest.
Once he started confessing, I think he wanted to. But you don't want to stop there. You don't want to take a break. You don't want to quit now because you want to roll. You got 6 more to do. So you want to hit him on the next one.
You talk about me as too, okay? Did you mean to hurt him? Tell me what happened. So,
Hey, he just confessed to these 3 crimes. They are so similar to the other crimes. We went back and asking Daniel, hey, you just got to do the right thing.
let it all out. So the one you did with me and Miss Brock? You did that?
And he slowly started to admit.
Alright, let it out. No, it's alright. Philippine. I did that. You did Miss Philippine? I did that. Shake my hand.
When you're dealing with a case like this, that's caused so much pain, so much grief, crime scenes are horrific. You feel repulsed to be in the company. You have to suppress those feelings of disgust and stay focused on why you're there.
Good on him. We're curious. How'd you make entry? To the garage.
He just didn't say, yeah, I done it. He gave details. He gave what weapon was used, how he did it, how he got in the house. That information was never released out to the general public, so only the killer would know what happened in these cases.
Feel better? You gotta get it off your chest. You may even close your eyes at night now and not see what you saw. Not dream what you used to dream. Because you know you did the right thing. God knows you did the right thing, and your mama knows you did the right thing. You hear me? Don't ever forget that.
Now at this point, he confessed to 5 homicides, but it's not over. The Bourgeois case was somewhat different from the others. No money was taken. There was similarities in the age of the victim, so we suspected that he was responsible, so we threw it out. Started asking him questions about Miss Bourgeois.
Danny, one more, last one, okay? Miss Bourgeois, last one, and we finished. It's over. We're done with, okay? Tell me what happened.
Miss Barbara Bourgeois was 58 years old. She lived alone, recently widowed. She worked for St. James Parish school system as a teacher's aide. Because she was such a great woman, we want justice for her to be able to bring her murderer to answer for this crime.
I mean, each and every day, naturally, we wanted somebody to be held accountable for what they did to my mother.
I didn't have nothing to do with that.
Daniel. Daniel. Come on,
I was being totally honest on that one. I don't even know nothing about that one.
One more, last one, okay?
Now at this point, he confessed to 5 homicides, but it's not over. The Bourgeois case was somewhat different from the others. No money was taken. There were similarities in the age of the victim, so we suspected that he was responsible, so we threw it out. Started asking him questions about Miss Bourgeois.
Miss Bourgeois, last one, and we finished. It's over. We're done with it, okay? Tell me what happened. Sorry about that.
Being able to get a confession on the Bourgeois case was gratifying.
Reality hit us. We were screaming, we were jumping up and down.
I remember it being like around 11:45 that night, and the phone rang, and Mickey said, "Cindy, that's Willie Martin." And I got on the phone with him, and he said, "Cindy, we got him." It was like, oh my God, okay, they got him. You know, my mom's gonna get justice for what has been done.
When we came out of that courthouse with him, every news media affiliate from Dallas to Lufkin to Fort Worth was on the steps of that courthouse.
I'm just glad that they found the person who did it.
Sentiment echoed throughout the river parishes. A long investigation leads authorities to East Texas and 35-year-old Daniel Blank.
He has confessed to the crimes of the 6 homicides as well as the 2 attempted homicides.
We walked him out in chains and shackles, put him in that unit, and we started heading back to New Orleans. And we rolling down I-10, and as we hit the line, there's units all down the interstate. And there's no better feeling. You're coming back to your parish, and you got this funk ball that killed all of these people, and we can say, hey, look what we did. You know, we did something that nobody else will probably ever do in their lifetime. We got a serial killer in the backseat of this car, and he's coming to a little bitty old Laplace where everybody thinks this kind of stuff can't happen. And we solved it.
The community and my family felt a little safer knowing that now he's caught and he's in jail where he belonged.
We got him. We know who did it, okay? And we're gonna hold him accountable.
My mother had this smile that can just light up her room. Everybody says I look just like her. And I take that as a huge compliment. The police did what they had to do, and they were very determined. From the bottom of my heart, I think, but it'll still never be enough.
For more about criminal confessions, go to oxygen.com.